the big topics today out of that game is the effect that replay had on it, because it was a big call with a minute to go in overtime, in which I don't think anybody watching the game for 1 second thought that's Virginia's basketball until they went to the monitor and until they looked at the exact correct replay, which was one that even then you're like, wait, I think that might have touched Moretti's fingertip on his pinky on the way out of bounds. It's strange to me, in this world and this era of replay, we have not accomplished what we want, which is perfection. We're not even close. Games take longer, and clearly the rules change in the last 2 minutes of a half when things can get reviewed, because there'd have been no argument. There would have been no officials huddle and them making that Virginia basketball. That ended up 100% Texas Tech basketball, or excuse me, Virginia basketball, only because of replay. And the goal is to get the call right, and that's fine. But we're only getting it right in the last 2 minutes?
And to me, it's ruined the spirit of the rule, the spirit of the game, and what it was meant to be. We talked about this. No one would have thought twice had they given Texas Tech the ball back, right?
Nope.
Could you imagine doing this, I don't know, at your local YMCA, at Lifetime Fitness, LA Fitness? Doug, you're dribbling the ball. Yep. I knock it out of your hands, out of bounds, and go, dude, it was off your pinky. And you're like, hell no, dude, you knocked it out of my hands. I'm like, no, let's shoot for it. You're like, hell no, I'm not shooting for it. You knocked it out of my hands.
You know I can't make free throws.
This is crazy. That would never happen.
And then, as we know, it goes back and forth in America until one of us goes and gets a firearm and shoots the other one, and then you get the ball.
My ball,
only
dude.
temporarily, though.
And then you have to yell out, what was the score?
But the point being, you're 100% correct. The whole spirit of the rule thing that you keep bringing up, I'm like, well, spirit of the rule is whoever it touches last, it goes to the other team. But the bottom line is, I don't like the inconsistencies of it being called one way for a good portion of the game and then the other way at the end. But 248-539-9797. Why are we making the games longer and we're still talking about officiating? That's, I guess, why I'd get rid of replay. We go to Richard in Royal Oak. Hi, Richard.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
To me, it's a compounding issue, and it's three things. This takes away from that Virginia, in their last 3 games, was able to come back in under a minute and win. I'm talking the regulation this game, but that team battled, and they deserve to win. I'm not saying that. But where it's problematic to me is everybody that watches the replay, the first thing you see is Kyle Guy fouled him already when he's coming up the court. And we don't call that a foul because it's not a reviewable play. But everybody sees it happen. And we're going to give the ball away to Virginia because of technicality, but rolling off his finger, that makes 0 sense.
And he did foul him. He fouled the hell out of him.
Yeah, he did.
He fouled him. Moretti was getting mugged right before the ball got tapped out of bounds.
And everybody sees it. Like, there is no debate. He faults him. But yet, because it's not in the rule book that's reviewable, it's, okay, it didn't happen. We must have all just not seen it. But we're supposed to see this laws of physics in slow-mo. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep. You're right. You're absolutely right, Richard.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
You have to ignore everything. What you see is a pretty solid foul. You have to ignore that wasn't called because we're only reviewing for did it go off the guy's fingertip on what would normally be a call that no one questions and says, no, he knocked it out of his hand. Let's go.
All right.
Crazy string of events.
We will continue getting your feedback and calls on this, but we teased that we would be talking about the Lions and whether or not this is something you really want. And you know what, Gator? I'm going to go so far as to say you really believe. Sports Illustrated reported yesterday that the Lions were one of 2 teams aggressively looking to deal down in the first round of the draft. They were cited. The Seahawks were cited. Bob Quinn told Ian Rappaport in the Rap Sheet podcast that we played last week, the quote is, "We're open for business." First question is, are we sure that we want him to trade back? Because if you're aggressively pursuing it, when I hear that, that tells me you might be willing to take a little bit less than the draft chart says you're going to get.
Well, you can say that publicly, but in reality, it's whatever you get. So, I mean, I have no problem with them advertising to teams that they're willing to do this, they're willing to move. There's a team in front of them. Obviously, the Jets have said the same thing, so I think it's not a bad thing. The Lions do that too. There are players that other teams would covet. You look at teams that want to get ahead of. If teams in the 20s and they're looking to draft a quarterback, but they don't think that quarterback's going to be there, but they want to get ahead of teams like Denver or Miami or the Redskins. Number 8 does it. I don't have any problem with them doing it. But if you're Bob Quinn, you also have to hold strong on what you're willing to take in return. I mean, you can't settle for less. There's no point in that. You know what? I'm okay with 8. You got to step up your offer. Well, this is what we're looking for. We're going to switch picks, and then you're going to give me a second round and a fourth round or whatever it is.
We had a stunning development, I thought, last week when the overwhelming response was no thanks, guys, and it was the Atlanta trade? They were going from 8 to 14. It was Atlanta, right? I'm forgetting who it was with.
Atlanta sounds right.
Okay. They're going from 8 to 14, and they're getting a second or third round pick next year, and they're getting a 5th and a 7th this year, and they're dropping 6 spots. And the overwhelming response was, well, I wouldn't do that. And I thought, I've been doing this for almost a decade and a half.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody's ever said no to any trade down. This is the first time I can remember people going, oh, wait, I wouldn't do that. To drop 6 spots in the first round, get a second round, and we did 2nd, 5th, and 7th, I think it was Atlanta was giving up to move up. And does it sound a little light to me? Yeah, it sounds a little light. And yet the concept, and it was a trade proposed by a writer, okay? It wasn't like a rumor that was going to go down. I'm going to make sure I got the particulars right because that doesn't even sound right. This was all the way last week. You can't expect me to remember it. No, but it was an interesting proposal, and yet Detroit said, oh, hell no. So part of it is
the listeners.
The listeners, yeah. The listeners, the response was, 5 out of 6, I think, said hell no. Then the other thing is, do you believe what Bob Quinn is saying? Do you believe, or is this all pre-draft posturing?
My gut tells me I believe him. That's got my 51.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it could be both ways on this thing. But you're going to have to come with a real offer. You can't come up with some lowball offer and think you're going to get it. That's not how it's going to work.
I'm not sure.
I think he's savvy enough to screen past that.
Do you think that Atlanta offer, if that were a real offer, is a lowball offer?
What was it again? It's flipping the picks. So Detroit gets 14 and what else?
14, their second rounder, their 5th and their 7th this year. Second rounder next year, 5th and a 7th.
And then they would flip the other picks.
It seems a little light, but that might be the kind of offers they get because people think they're desperate.
Well, then you don't accept them.
Oh, you don't have to. No,
you don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
But the market they're creating isn't one where they're going to get high bids. Is my point when you say stuff like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that, again, with my scenario, I think there are lots of teams that want a quarterback, and you're going to have to get ahead of some teams to do it.
I hope you're right. The Twitter question is, according to Sports Illustrated, the Lions will be aggressively looking to deal down in the first round. Bob Quinn told Ian Rappaport, quote, we're open for business. Do you believe this talk? 56% say yes, they want a deal. 44% say no, it's a smokescreen. There's a lot of response. We'll read some of those coming up. Also, tons coming in on replay. Champ and Chump are posted on our website. Go to KarschandAnderson.com to see who you people selected the Champ and Chump of the weekend.